Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute madness of Reborn, a trillionaire in the supernatural apocalypse. It's this wild, explosive mix of survival horror and, well, extreme, overpowered capitalism. We're going to follow Shinmu, a protagonist who figures out how to use the ultimate superpower, infinite wealth, to conquer a world completely overrun by deadly entities. Now, I want you to imagine facing horrifying supernatural anomalies. One wrong move or breaking a single rigged rule, and that's it, instant death. But what if, instead of desperately fighting for your life, you had an endless bank account of ghost coins to solve absolutely every problem? That is exactly the overpowered and honestly hilarious reality we are exploring today. So let's set the stage with Shinmu's timeline. He endures a miserable, terrifying 5 years in this apocalypse before finally being killed in 2029. But right at the exact moment of his death, this epic-tier spatial ring he stole from an underworld bank triggers. Next thing he knows, he wakes up back in his classroom on December 31st, 2024, literally the exact day the apocalypse started. And the crazy twist, he still has the ring, and it is packed with literal trillions in ghost coins. Section 1. Buying the Midnight Cafeteria. From prey to proprietor. Right as Shinmu wakes up in his classroom, boom, the first supernatural anomaly triggers. It's the Midnight Cafeteria. Now, the survival rules here are entirely rigged against humans. He is forced to serve this grotesque entity, and when that entity purposefully trips a human girl, causing a plate to shatter, the ghost manager immediately demands their lives as a penalty for damaging an item. But Shinmu brilliantly exploits a loophole. He uses his ghost coins to just buy food for himself. The second he consumes it, he officially becomes a customer. And rule number 1, the customer is always right. Once he's a customer and totally immune to the death penalty, Shinmu just takes it to the next level. He calls over the ghost boss and casually drops 8 million ghost coins in cash right on the table. He just buys the entire haunted cafeteria outright. You can imagine the ghost manager is absolutely shell-shocked. It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Shinmu is literally taming a terrifying apocalypse using basic corporate HR benefits. Where the previous boss worked the ghosts 24/7 with zero pay, Boss Shinmu instantly pays out all their back pay, institutes 4-hour workdays, and even pays triple for overtime. These terrifying, murderous entities instantly view him as a god and become his fiercely loyal employees. And just like that, the living Yama, as they start calling him, is born. Section 2. Bribing a ghost general, equipping the ultimate armor. Okay, so Shinmu has unimaginable wealth, right? But physically, he's still pretty weak. So after hiring a skeletal ghost taxi driver as his personal chauffeur for 20 grand a month, he sets his sights on the Fog Museum to get some legendary defensive gear. But first, he goes on a massive shopping spree at the haunted Decadent Mall, dropping a staggering 23 million ghost coins. He's buying top-tier luxury wines, a 1,000,000-coin crystal necklace, designer watches, the works. The ghost staff are so overwhelmed by his sheer wealth that they just hand him a Supreme VIP card, which actually lets him alter the rules of the mall itself. Fully stocked up on bribes, Shinmu enters the Fog Museum, which is ruled by Ghost General Duke William. The entry test is this deadly game of hide-and-seek, and the rules are completely lethal. But while all the other humans are running for their lives and getting slaughtered by the patrolling guards, Shinmu simply sits down on a couch perfectly still, sipping tea provided by a butler he bribed. Why? Because anything that doesn't move is classified as an exhibit, making him completely untouchable by the guards. It's absolute genius. And this strategy massively pays off. At the post-game banquet, Shinmu gifts the Duke those luxury vintage wines and gives the Duchess the crystal necklace. They are so touched by his quote-unquote noble generosity that they gift him the death-heavy armor. This thing makes him immune to most entity damage and even rule violations. Plus, he gets the Duke's personal medallion, meaning Shinmu can instantly summon a ghost general. He is basically invincible against early-game threats now. Section 3. Conquering Dark Knight School, a 100 million coin education. The very next day, Shinmu returns to his high school just as a massive supernatural invasion triggers the fatal exam scenario. The psychological terror in the room is intense. Students are turning on each other, terrified of who the hidden entity might be. The only clue says the entity has 4 limbs like a human and doesn't move on its own. Shinmu smartly observes the room and realizes the ghost isn't a student at all. He walks up, takes his blade, and stabs a perfectly aligned wooden desk that hasn't moved an inch despite all the chaos. Black smoke erupts. He passes the exam effortlessly. After literally saving his entire class, Shinmu marches straight into the ghost principal's office. The principal tries to intimidate him, naturally, but Shinmu completely bypasses the school's lethal anti-human acquisition rules by dropping a cool 100 million coins directly onto his desk. He buys the entire school, doubles all the teachers' salaries, gives them free meals at his new cafeteria, and simply demands they make it the best school in the supernatural world within 1 month. Section 4. Monopolizing Supernatural Real Estate, the Shantri Luxury Compound. By this point, Shinmu needs a safe, rule-protected luxury base for his growing operations. So he heads over to the Shantri compound, this high-end, supernatural real estate development. The ghost real estate agent greets him, but seeing that Shinmu is a human, tries to extort him. He initially asks for 50 million just as a deposit, and then cranks the total price up to an absurd 1 billion ghost coins. He assumes Shinmu is just an arrogant human with deep pockets, but no real power to back it up. But you really don't want to try extorting an overpowered trillionaire? Instead of panicking, Shinmu casually uses his VIP contacts. He formally invites a few friends to view his new property. Instantly, Duke William, a literal ghost general and manager's son from the decadent mall, teleport in. The extorting ghost is so completely terrified of these high-level VIPs that he totally panics, apologizes profusely, and actually gives Shinmu 47 luxury villas completely for free just to save his own life. Section 5. The Terror Hospital Takeover, Cornering the Healthcare Market. So, Shinmu quickly realizes that his fiercely loyal ghost employees don't actually have health insurance. To fix this, he infiltrates the newly spawned Terror Hospital as a medical intern. Once again, the rules are completely rigged. It's designed to kill human interns because the chief doctor actively lies to you. And worse, there were rarely any ghost patients who willingly visit. I mean, you can't get 3 positive reviews if you don't even have patients to treat, right? So what's his brilliant solution? Absolute, ruthless, loophole abuse. First, he texts his loyal ghost security guards back from the school. They go out into the streets, beat up random thug entities, kidnap them, and drag them straight into Shinmu's hospital room. Then, Shinmu treats them by repeatedly shocking them with a high-voltage defibrillator until they are terrified enough to submit a glowing 5-star medical review. Through this completely insane extortion tactic, he totally aces the intern exam. The hospital's director, who is a greedy ghost, tries to scam Shinmu into buying the failing hospital just to offload all its debt. Shinmu plays along, but ruthlessly negotiates the price down to just 70 million coins. And the best part? By acquiring it, Shinmu gains a unique skill that lets him transform into an entity for 5 minutes, severely boosting his own personal survival odds out in the wild. While running the hospital, he comes across this ridiculed intern named Senkura. Now, Shinmu remembers from his past life that Senkura is destined to become a legendary, world-renowned ghost doctor. So Shinmu immediately promotes him to head of the hospital. But he refuses to just pay him a standard salary. Instead, he secures Senkura's eternal loyalty by giving him 1% equity in the hospital, laying the groundwork to build a massive supernatural health insurance monopoly. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. Shinmu has basically used his infinite wealth to buy loyalty, manipulate impossible rules, and build a massive, overpowered capitalist empire right in the middle of a deadly apocalypse. It leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. When money can literally buy off the supernatural, how far will the living Yamas spread his monopoly before the ghosts finally realize they're the ones being conquered? Thank you so much for joining us, and keep your eyes peeled for the next chapter of this incredible story.